Alright guys, it's me Train Guy, and today is the day I read the entire plot and storyline for Crash Energy Cab Cars. It's a lot, but you can trust me, right? I will do this. As the California Northern Railroad leaves downtown San Diego, a couple are struggling to get to the hospital as fast as possible. The conductor says that they'll be there in 30 minutes. The wife is having a baby, though. The husband pleads to the conductor and tells him that they need to be there now. Otherwise, the wife will water. Unfortunately, you can't control that because the driver can't drive the train that fast. Luckily, the wife was a strong girl. She was able to hold it in for the next half hour. As soon as the train stopped, the couple rushed out of the passenger car and went inside the Carlsbad Village Hospital. And they rushed to sign in. The husband's name was Billy Pilkey, North County Transit District Coaster, while the wife's name was Ruby Elizabeth, North County Transit District Coaster. Before you knew it, the doctor and Billy were in the room with Ruby, and they were cheering on her, telling her to push, push, push. Ruby pushed the infant carriage out of her. The doctor held up the little carriage and shouted, "It's a male! It's a boy!" Ruby held the cute little coach and said, "What are you going to name him?" "I think I'll call him Flintley," she said. A hero was born. Flintley Coaster, North County Transit District Cab Car Jr. As soon as they got home, Grandma was babysitting little Carly, aka Flintley's older sister. Or you can call him Coaster. Carly was very happy to see that she has a new little brother. Then her mother said, Promise you'll take care of him, okay? He's your little brother." She said, "Okay, I'll promise to take care of my little brother. He's so cute." Years passed. Carly got older and Coaster got older too. On Coaster's first day of school, his father told him, "No need to be so gray. You'll be a leader one day." Flintley, aka Coaster, call him Coaster or Flintley, you can call him whatever you want, Coaster and Flintley, whatever. He kept that quote. As he went to school, it was pretty like a normal first day of school. He was very scared. He had never been to school before. This is his first time. As he went inside the preschool daycare, he usually played with all the little train toys in there. When he got home, he seemed to have loved it. And one day on the weekend, he saw a poor kid that was lying and crying on the sidewalk. Finley ran to the hopeless horn honker. The kid's name was Theodore Caltrain Francisco Capicar, who had just got a huge cut from tripping and falling off his scooter. Coaster helped him stand up, when suddenly he ran really fast across the street. He was okay, though, but his knees seemed to have healed very fast once he helped him up. Coaster was standing there in disbelief. Theodore had the power to run fast, like the Flash. Flintley was impressed. For the first time ever, he had seen someone run fast as he had seen in his comic books and video games. He thought Theodore, or Caltrade, you can call him Caltrade if you want, was the coolest kid he had ever met. Coaster and Caltrade rode their rides to Coaster's house. His mother was in shock when she saw that her own son was with a stranger. Luckily, Coaster was able to calm her down and that Coaster had just met him and he doesn't mean any harm at all. Coaster's mother was suddenly very proud. She said, "Coaster, honey, this is your chance to make a friend." That's when Caltrain showed Coaster's mom the power that he had to run fast. Caltrain ran across the kitchen and went right back to the front door without running or crashing or destroying anything. Coaster's mother was impressed of Caltrain being a little bit not normal, but cool. 13 years later, Coaster, aka Flintley, has graduated from college. His parents, sister, and most of his family, including his grandfather, were all there. Coaster was very happy to have finally graduate, but there was no Caltrain. Coaster was suddenly very sad. He said his final goodbyes to his family as he got in his car that his dad once owned and drove off to see the world. He passed by a Coaster train. He thought about Caltrain. When he went to the airport, the flight attendant asked, "Why are you so blue? It's like you've lost your horn." Coaster didn't say anything. He just sighed. Then the flight attendant ripped off his hat, bow tie, and sunglasses. It was Caltrain. Coaster let out a cry of joy and hugged him. Then Simonton Rillington Surfliner cab car, another old friend of Coaster's from the 5th grade, came out and joined the hug. The three friends were happy to be together again. Surfliner offered Coaster to drive the plane. Yes, his dad did train him to drive a car and a plane. While Caltrain got into Coaster's car, Coaster asked, "How are you gonna get that car across the ocean?" "No pain. Believe Caltrain," said Caltrain. So Coaster gave Caltrain a thumbs up. Caltrain winked at him and got in the car and waited till the plane took off. A few hours later, Coaster and Surfliner finally arrived at the Cabcars Island airport. Coaster had been wanting to go there for years. That's when they saw Coaster's car parked in the lot, but Caltrain wasn't in it. Coaster was paranoid that Caltrain didn't make it. But so Surfliner drove Coaster to see the big surprise that awaits him. Caltrain had built a big letter C-shaped, luxurious clubhouse all for Coaster and the futuristic team members. Surfliner said, "Surprise, Seaman." Coaster opened the door to the building. It was so luxurious. There were rooms circling the walls. There was a table, diner, lab, 2 offices filled with Coaster and Surfliner stuff, an outdoor pool, a porch, and an outdoor elevator. And there, standing in front of Coaster and Surfliner, were Caltrain and 3 other locos. Sean Railrunner Antonio Cab Car, Jewel Dexter West Coast Express Cab Car, and Sal Chicago Northwestern Cab Car. And there were 2 others, Nathan and Jesse, 2 old friends of Coaster. Coaster let out another cry of joy and hugged Nathan and Jesse. It had been so long since Coaster had seen them. Coaster was very happy to finally have a real team. But only did he know that Sal was a very cheeky gallery car. First of all, Sal constantly blew his horn out of nowhere in every single meeting that Coaster would make. Then he would hide in Jewel's bathroom to spy on her. Coaster had a talk with him one night and said, "You better watch your rails, and you don't want to derail." But unfortunately, Sal continued this behavior. A few days later, Sal was fired. Then, the day after he was fired, an incident happened that will change the cab cars' lives forever. A loud boom was heard outside the clubhouse. When Coaster walked outside, he couldn't believe his windows/eyes. An orange cat stomped out of the spaceship. Coaster screamed at the strange humanoid cat, and Coaster demanded why he was there. The cat's name was Peter. He had come to take over the entire island, and soon the entire train planet. The cat hated trains. Nathan and Jesse, looking quite angry and offended, marched towards Peter and kicked him in the gut. Jesse bit his tail. Peter let out a screech. Peter was furious and threatened to annoy the cab cars for as long as he can remember. Or as long as he can do. Then Coaster said, "We are in serious trouble." The next few nights, Peter would peer through the clubhouse windows and spy on Jewel as she sleeps, and Peter would steal their food and paint graffiti all over the clubhouse. Then, one day, the cab cars heard loud, heavy, scary stomping. They walked outside and saw a giant blue robot with red lightning bolts the size of a clubhouse standing before them. The robot was the size of the clubhouse. Coaster told the cab cars not to panic and that he can make control of this and everything will be alright. Caltrain ran up to Giant Evil Cab Car with his speed electrical, running fast flash powers, and kicked him in the eye. There was a small crack in his eye, but Giant Evil Cab Car just flicked Caltrain out of his face. Caltrain landed safely in some brush, luckily. Railrunner slingshotted himself on top of the building, and he flew right past Peter and Giant Evil Cab Car. But he came right back like a boomerang and stabbed Giant Evil Cab Car in his back. Yes, Railrunner's chopper is a big difference from the others. It's in the shape of a boomerang. He was born differently, you know. Giant Evil Cab Car let out a mighty roar, while Nathan and Jesse decided to join the fight. But Coaster wanted them to stay safe with him. But Nathan wanted to go fight with the big robot. Coaster was paranoid that they would die. And unfortunately, Coaster was right. Nathan and Jesse waved goodbye as Coaster waved goodbye as Nathan and Jesse walked towards the big robot. And Giant Evil Cab Car squished Nathan and Jesse and were killed instantly. Coaster yelled, "No!" Giant Evil Cab Car lifted his mighty foot and laughed. Peter yelled, "Bye-bye, losers!" And Giant Evil Cab Car transformed into a jetpack, and they flew off to their hideouts. Coaster ran desperately and sadly toward Nathan and Jesse, who were lying around weakly and full of bruises, and were flat as a pancake. Coaster, very scared and anxious, said, "No, you must fight it. You have to fight it. You can do this. Don't you die on me." But Jesse said, "You did what you could, sir. You were a great leader. And a great friend." Coaster fell to his knees and started crying. The rest of the team began to cry too. A few weeks later, the mayor held a funeral for the dead brothers. Coaster was more depressed than ever. They all said their final words to Nathan and Jesse, and everyone went back home. Coaster thought about making a team, but he decided to ask Caltrain to do it for him. He was way too sad to find more people. Caltrain went to Los Angeles for Metrolink, Minnesota for North Star, Tri-Rail from Florida, and went up in Canada for AMT of Montreal and Go Transit of Toronto, whom Caltrain would become friends with Go Transit. But nothing seemed to make Coaster happy as Caltrain came home. Months after months, Caltrain would return and return with more cab cars, but that just seemed to make Coaster sadder and sadder. One day, Coaster was sitting in his room watching TV. Then, all of a sudden, his show was interrupted by some breaking news. The news reporter said, "A strange creature inside of a ball of fire was heading towards trains. No one knows what part of our planet, though. But let's pray that this comet will not hurt our beloved planet trains. Coaster was confused. He ran outside into his porch and saw the comet was heading towards them, aka Cabcar's Island. Coaster ran in circles in panic and blew his horn and bell like crazy. He sounded the clubhouse alarm, and the sirens went off in the city, and the cab cars went undercover in their rooms, hid in their closets. The comet landed hard on the grassy ground. Coaster ran outside to see the humanoid creature. After the smoke cleared, Coaster screamed, and so did the weird creature. And after they were done screaming, Coaster realized it wasn't a locomotive. It wasn't an orange cat. It was a human. Coaster and the human cried in unison, "What do you want?" The human said, "I come in peace. My name is Grayson Dario Vince. I am autistic, artistic, and shy. My gender is a male. I'm 13 years old, and I have a girlfriend." Coaster was dumbfounded. Coaster, who was still a little freaked out, decided to touch Super Vince. I meant the humanoid creature. Sorry, I just did that. As Coaster touched Grayson, his face felt slimy and fleshy and squishy. Then Grayson touched Coaster. His Coaster felt hard. A hard, cold piece of metal. Coaster was a little more calm now, realized that Grayson was harmless. So they walked inside. So Coaster asked Grayson, "How did you survive falling from Earth to planet trains?" Then Grayson told Coaster the whole story. While he was standing there with his orphan so-called friends, there was a giant nuclear bomb from a bad guy on planet Earth. It bombed that one part, and it blew Grayson off the planet. And a giant fireball, and being in it for so long, the fireball powerful particles mixed with Grayson's internal organs, giving him superpowers, laser vision, super strength, and kung fu grip. Coaster was dumbfounded yet again. Then he fell to his knees and begged Grayson to become their own personal superhero. Grayson had never been so loved in years. He let out a cry of joy and said, "Yes!" After introducing Grayson to the entire team, telling them that Grayson was harmless, not a strange creature, Caltrain made Grayson a cool costume in under 3 minutes. Yes, because Caltrain did keep his power of going fast. That's when Coaster began training Grayson to become an awesome superhero. But not for long, because Pesky Peter came back with Giant Evil Cab Car. Still didn't care about the death of Nathan and Jesse. He returned with his big robot, and it seemed to be a little bigger than the last time. Grayson was scared. He had never fought a big robot before. Coaster told him to remember his training. So Grayson flew outside, and he just gave a weak zap from his laser eyes. The crowd on the island in the distance booed. Grayson felt awful. That's when Coaster just gave him a thumbs up and said, "You're doing great. Keep going." Grayson floated towards Giant Evil Cab Car. It gave it another zap. Harder this time. Unfortunately, right in his eye. Giant Evil Cab Car let out a loud roar. Stupidly, instead of Grayson trying to attack again, he just screamed and flew inside the clubhouse and cried, "Mommy!" Even though he was an orphan. The crowd on the island laughed their horns and bells off. Coaster ran inside to comfort Grayson. Grayson was sitting in the corner sobbing and saying, "I'm no good. I'll never be a hero." Coaster told him that being a hero takes time. It never happens overnight. Coaster offered to train Grayson for a few more months. Grayson stood up and agreed. He felt a little more better now. After a few more training with Coaster, Surfliner, and Caltrain this time, and Virginia Railway Express and Sounder, or Calvin and Carter, began training him of flying professionally. Yes, Virginia Railway Express, aka Carter, had the power to fly, but he only had the power to control minds. He didn't have the power to fight big giant robots. 3 months later, Peter and Johnny O'Capcar arrived for their third battle. Grayson remembered his training. He was more brave this time. He flew out of the clubhouse angrily and gave a zap very hard with his laser vision. Johnny Vocabcar roared once again. But instead of Grayson flying into the clubhouse stupidly and scared, he decided to fly under Johnny Vocabcar angrily and picked him up and smashed him into the ocean. Johnny Vocabcar was dead. Peter was knocked out. Then the crowd on the island cheered, "Grayson! Grayson! Grayson!" Grayson was happy and let out a yahoo, and Coaster gave Grayson a high 3 because yes, every loco in this universe has 3 fingers, not 5. But Peter was pissed. He vowed that he'll get the cab cars in another 3 months, but he was wrong. Grayson defeated him again 3 months later. 3 months later, he defeated him again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Battle after battle after battle after battle. Grayson seemed to be getting stronger and stronger, while Peter seemed to be getting weaker and weaker. Then one day, on one of their battles, Peter snapped. He had had enough of losing. In about 10 months, we will have the biggest battle ever. My baby, Johnny Vocabcar here, will get a size upgrade. He'll have a loud eardrum burning horn, very big. Little robot claws will come out between his mouth and windows, and he'll have glowing red eyes. Without another meow, Peter clicked a button on Johnny Vocabcar. That button causes Johnny Vocabcar to fold himself smaller and smaller until he becomes a little suitcase with a handy handle. Peter picked him up and carried him away. Grayson was worried about the 10th anniversary battle, but Coaster was happy. "Grayson, this is your chance to become a real hero." So Coaster decided to cheer up Grayson by taking him to Europe. Grayson was happy to go to the train version of Europe. So Coaster, Grayson, Caltrain, Surfliner, and Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, or MBTA, or Frederick for short, from Massachusetts, boarded the Crash Energy plane and took off. Sunrail, real name Sunny, from Orlando, Florida, was in charge while Coaster was gone. After a day or two, Coaster and his 4 friends got to Europe. It was full of rail zeppelins. Unfortunately, the rail zeppelins did not know of Grayson's arrival. So they all screamed and shut their windows and went under cover. That's when Coaster said, "Don't worry. Say it, Grayson." Grayson shouted once again, "I mean no harm. I come in peace." That's what a homeless zeppelin said, out of nowhere. "Good for you." He looked sad and dirty. The other rail zeppelins peered down at Grayson. They were feeling a little better now and waved hello. Coaster walked over to the homeless rail zeppelin and asked his name. The homeless zeppelin's name was Cap Tricar. He had abandoned his family apartment over a year ago. He abandoned them because he was sick of being treated like a baby even though he was 20 years old. So he wanted to abandon them and grow up and see the train world. But he regretted that And his parents said he would regret it too. And in fact, he regretted it. He failed and ended up stuck at a curb in southern Europe. Now he'll never find a way back for his parents. They're probably dead already. Coaster offered Cap Tracker to be a part of the Crash Energy Cap Cars team. Cap Tracker was in shock. Then he let out a happy cry and gave Coaster a hug. Surfliner and Caltrain shed a few tears also. So after a few days of introducing Grayson and talking about Cap Traker's life and all, the 6 friends went back to their clubhouse and decided to show Cap Tricar all around. But when Coaster and Cap Tracker walked down the stairs, Cap Tracker saw West Coast Express, aka Jewel, waving at him. Cap Tracker saw her, took one look at her. It was love at first sight. Cap Tracker floated gently towards West Coast Express. Coaster said, "Where are you going?" West Coast Express said, "Oh, hi." "Oh, hi, Cap Tricar. My name is Jewel, and, you're from Europe, right?" Cap Tricar interrupted by saying, "I know we just met. I know we don't know each other that much. But you are the most beautiful girl I've ever met. Will you marry me?" West Coast Express fell to her knees and saw the plead in Cap Tracker's face. Then she said, "Yes!" Coaster was dumbfounded. He couldn't believe this was happening. It had only been 10 minutes since Cap Tracker had even met her. Or even joined the building, I should say. And only 30 seconds that West Coast Express had met Cap Tricar. Coaster walked over to them and told them that you can't be married now. You need to go on a few dates. West Coast Express meant to tell Cap Tricar that they needed to go on a few dates. Cap Tracker agreed. Cap Tracker just lost it, and they said they just wanted to go on a date instead. Coaster let out a sigh of relief. But that night, he was sitting on his porch, thinking. That's when Caltrain opened the door. "Hey, Coaster, what are you doing out here in the dark?" Coaster sighed and said, "If I lose that battle in 10 months, my life would amount to nothing." Caltrain said as he hugged him, "Oh, Coaster, you don't need to worry. If we will win that battle, we have Grayson and a real Zeppelin that can shred things with this propeller. And if we will win the battle, we believe it in our heart. No matter what happens, the most important thing is being friends." Coaster hugged Caltrain. A few months later, Cap Tracker and West Coast Express were finally getting married. They were Coaster, Caltrain, Surfliner, Tri-Rail from Florida, whose real name is Lucy, AMT, whose real name is Albert from Montreal, and North Star with his camera, aka Nelson. All went to see the cab car and the rail Zeppelin get married. The mayor, who was in charge of the wedding, said, "Do you want to marry West Coast?" "I do." And then he asked West Coast, "Do you want to marry Cap Tri?" "I do." Then they kissed. Caltrain let out a happy cry. North Star snatched a picture with the camera that his dad had gotten when he was just a little kid. North Star uses his camera all the time. Coaster gave West Coast Express a thumbs up. As they drove home, or once they got home, back to the clubhouse, they saw Grayson standing, terrified, with a paper bag. Coaster asked, "What's wrong, Grayson?" And Grayson yelled breathlessly, "It's time!" Coaster asked, "Time for what?" Then all of a sudden, a bam was heard, louder than they have heard before. And standing before them were Peter and his newly upgraded robot. Coaster was like, "Oh no, I forgot. The battle. The 10-month battle. It's here." Coaster sounded the alarm. Then all the sirens went off around Capcar's island. Grayson, Sounder, aka Calvin from Seattle, and VRE, aka Carter, the two, Sounder and VRE, Grayson's two greatest trainers, said, "Don't worry, Grayson, you're gonna be alright. I have the power to fly, and he has the power to have a long tongue. Right, Sounder?" "Yeah, we got this, Grayson. We can do this. I'll fly up there. Sounder, you try to strangle him up. And Grayson, use all the power you've got. Got it?" "Yes, sir, Virginia Railway Express." Grayson flew up to Giant Evil Capcar. "The super duper ginormous evil Capcar," shouted Petey. Or SDGECC for short. It doesn't matter. Let's die. Grayson was nervous. Coaster gave Grayson a thumbs up. Caltrain winked. Then the crowd on the island, including the Capcar team, shouted, "Grayson! Grayson! Grayson!" Sounder and VRE were both chanting, "Grayson! Grayson! Grayson!" Grayson felt happy and special. He flew around as fast as he could, let out an angry yell, and charged at the bellowing behemoth and punched him really hard, only to be left with pain. That punch didn't do anything. SDGECC was more powerful than ever. Only a slight dent was on him. Grayson was in pain within his knuckles. Grayson told Coaster he couldn't do it. But Coaster said, "We can defeat him with the power of friendship." Super Vince asked how. And Coaster said, "By adding a little bit of tune." Then he began singing Thunder by Imagine Dragons. Yes, he is voiced by the guy who does sing Thunder, who's a part of the Imagine Dragons group. He will be voiced by him if he is still alive. I'm just adding this so it can be a little fun joke in there, so this won't be a bad Pixar movie. This might even be the best Pixar movie of all time. Maybe even the best movie of all time. Train movie, I mean. Now let's continue. All the Capcars joined in with their horns and rang their bells. Everyone on the island joined in with the lightning thunder lyrics. Honk, honk went the horns. Ding, ding went the bells. And everyone just sang. Then Grayson told Coaster that he's gonna fly into the air. Coaster told Coaster, begged Grayson not to do it and that he'll get killed. Grayson told Coaster his final goodbyes. Coaster was like, "No, Grayson. I'm sorry, Grayson. Good luck." Grayson flew high into the air and shouted, "This is gonna throw you out of the thick of it." Grayson held in a big gulp of air. He said in his mind, "Goodbye, Coaster." And a loud, long K5LA American horn came out from the top of his lungs, out of his mouth. Super duper giant evil Capcar and Peter flew millions of miles away, far out to sea, and were soon no more. Peter and super duper giant evil Capcar were dead. And it might be the same for poor Grayson. He was laying weakly on the ground. Coaster told Grayson not to die on him, but it was no use. Grayson could not wake up. Coaster said, "I'm sorry, Grayson. I never meant. I should have." "Don't worry, Grayson. No matter what happens, whether you're in train heaven or not at all, you will always be here for me in my heart." I love you. Coaster began to cry. Caltrain joined in. So did Surfliner. The cab cars took off their toppers, and Coaster said, feeling better. Or stopped crying, I should say. We shall salute for a great hero, Grayson. Grayson was alive. He kept on coughing. And he said, "Don't call me Grayson. Call me Super Vince." Coaster laughed and said, "You're alive. Oh, you're alive. You're a great hero, Grayson. Super Vince." And Caltrain ran in circles of happiness, and he began jumping like a kid who just got a good grade on his math test or something. Then everyone on the island began chanting, "Go Keck! Go Keck!" Caltrain asked Coaster what Keck meant. Then Coaster answered with the new team name. I know this has been said before. We are Crash Energy Cab Cars. The team was cheered on, and they all walked back inside with their new hero, Super Vince. The end. I really hope you enjoyed this. This took me a long time to do. It took me like 3 days to write this entire script of the storyline and plot of the first Crash Energy Cab Cars movie. Yes, I do say first because there will be a second one, but I might release the plot for this second one in about a year or so. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Train Guy out.